Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
And Jeff, dude, what happened? Jay Cutler beat the Falcons.
I couldn't tell you because I was at work. I couldn't watch the game.
How does that happen? How do these things happen?
Well, I had a bad sports thing the last weeks. I mean, Gamecocks won, but that's honestly the one I cared the least about winning.
Jeff.
Falcons lost. Cubs are knocked out of the playoffs. It's pretty pitifully.
I thought that the Cubs were going to do it again when they were down. Were they down like they were about to be eliminated and they like won? So it was like 3-1. I was like, oh, they're going to do it again. They're going to like do this crazy come from behind thing again. And
see, the difference is they played like shit for that whole series.
Guess that'll do it.
I love my Cubbies, but
at least I know. Last I looked, it was like the top of the ninth, and the Astros were beating the Yankees like 7-1. So I'm almost certain they won last night.
They did.
Are the Yankees out?
It's Game 7. So winner plays the Dodgers in the World Series.
Just no Yankees. That's all I ask.
I'm pulling for the Astros all the way.
That's all I ask at this point. Yeah. Well, Jeff. Other than random sports and occasionally Knack, praise be to him, we do talk about video games on this podcast. And Jeff, I have the biggest breaking news. There was the whole Visceral thing, very sad. There was the whole, like, all this stuff happening. You have some weird Dragon Ball stuff on there. Everything, all that small fries. Biggest news, I have a Switch. I, Darby Hallman, own a Nintendo Switch now.
I'm not alone.
Jeff is not alone. We both have one friend now, and it's each other. And Jeff, I love this thing.
Yeah.
I love this thing so much. I have put like an absurd amount of time into Zelda this week. I am like already seen the Zora, all the fish people. I've already like done a bunch of shrines. I've already like killed a bunch of goblins.
Now, it looks like you're taking the same path I did.
Oh, did you go the same way?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I didn't even mean to. I was just like wandering around, and then Azora like swam up and was like, "Hey, you should go see our king." And I'm like, "Okay."
You say so, Mr. Fishman.
It's like, sure, whatever. I wish you would just kind of like swim me over there, but no. Instead, I have to like walk up this mountain.
Hey, exploring is the game.
No, it is. And if it's not obvious, gosh, Zelda's so good. Like. I'm sorry, this is kind of going to be a new segment for the podcast. Darby talks about old games. Because, like, I'm, like, getting into a lot of
that's kind of what this is for the most part. We're playing catch-up on some things.
We are. But this is kind of more of a throwback. Like, even though it's not like Zelda's old. It's early this year. But anyway.
7 months. About 8 months.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to talk about it either way. Just I already knew this from playing like 4 hours on yours, but now that it's my own copy and everything I do, and I know it's staying this way, and I've gone a lot further and seen a lot more things. Like the gameplay loop in Breath of the Wild is just something to behold. It's something that like I very rarely get out of games. Mm-hmm. That it's like there's never a dull moment. Like around you just like wander in some random direction and something awesome is going to happen. You're going to discover like some new like plant or new like animal or monster or something you've never seen before. You're going to run into a shrine or some, random thing's going to come and attack you. It's just, there's always like, I really don't know if any game has like captured the like exploration like that game does. And it's just so much fun. It's like, it feels like a scripted game almost, even though it's the complete opposite of it. Because it's just like the world is so like alive and so like wide open and everything that no matter where you go, like it's always going to be fun. So it feels like I said, it feels scripted. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they did that. I don't know how they managed to marry like the completely like you can do whatever you want with also like it never drops.
Yeah.
The quality of what you're doing and everything. It never ever drops.
I've talked about the game enough, so I'm just gonna let you talk.
That is fair. I keep I kind of forget that you've this is all.
I already put 100 hours into this game.
And I am going to. I want to know how much I put in there because it's a lot. I've played a lot this week. I only got it on Wednesday, and I've played a lot.
I remember my first week. I guess if you have this podcast or the beginning of the podcast when we started doing this, I got it, lucky for me, the day it came out was the start of our spring break in March. So I was able to put a lot of time. I think I put 30 hours into it the first week. I wasn't able to keep that up, unfortunately, but
and I'm sure like it kind of coincided with fall break. That's part of why I've been able to put so much time into it. That's going to drop off, but I'm definitely I'm probably like I doubt I'm all the way to like 30 hours, but I'm some decently high number. I've already done like probably 10 shrines, I think. That I might be overshooting that, but no, because there's like 4 on the Great Plateau, so I've probably done around 10 shrines.
It's easy for you to tell, at least.
Yeah. And I've like wandered way farther than I'm supposed to at times.
No, it's probably just like, well, I'm kind of going towards this direction, but that stuff's over there. That cool looking stuff potentially.
Yeah, and I just love it's so cool because like it has that Zelda feel that you come to expect and you love from Zelda, but it also mixes in a lot of things that, you know, modern RPGs have done and things that, like, you know, Nintendo is sometimes kind of slow to adopt, you know, what other games are doing. Sometimes that's to their benefit, but then sometimes it's like, all right, Nintendo, you know, catch up.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the towers and stuff to unlock the map, like, every game does that, not every RPG, but it feels right. Like, it feels right in this game, and they're able to, like, take those elements, the RPG elements that you see in, like, Horizon and even Far Cry and stuff like that, but they kind of, like, throw a Nintendo spin on it, and everything's, like, very charming. Like, I was, like, kind of surprised by how, like, just kind of goofy and funny all the villagers are when you go into a town, you know, it's just... everything, it just kind of has that like childlike charm to everything, while it's also like it's not like an easy game. Like some of the shrines, like every single shrine puzzle I've been to has impressed me so much with just how it's just like the answer to the puzzle is like just hard enough to where like it takes you some thought, but once you figure it out, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's never anything like cheap. It's like, oh, I should have thought of that.
I'm trying to think. It's hard to turn because there's so many shrines. Yeah, I can't think of any ones like really difficult and stuff. There's some, of course, that are easier than others. There's some that will probably frustrate you more than others, but that makes sense considering there's 120 of them. But yeah, the main thing about the shrines is the knock I have against them is they all look the same design wise, color scheme wise. That's the only knock I have against it. But I think they did a good job of varying up the puzzles, and I don't know if you've had any done any of these shrines yet, but they mix it up some. But there are some combat shrines.
Yeah, the only one, like, I went to one that was basically just a tutorial. It was like dodge, jump backwards, you know, and I guess that was combat. But I know that some of them are more.
Oh yeah, that might have been in the Great Plateau. I can't remember. Too many shrines.
That was not. I think it was Kakariko Village. Like, it was very like close by or something. But yeah, I'm aware that there are going to be those. All the ones I've done have all been puzzles. But it's cool how they like use in different ways. They like use all your different abilities. Like they find very unique ways to like for you to use them, and just like it's a weird thing to compliment. But I'm sure since you played 100 hours, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The physics in this game is just so cool.
Like, it's a lot of, can I do this? Oh, wait, I can. Awesome.
Yeah. And I was even like, I was playing with my sister was watching me play one night, and I was like showing her like, oh, and I have this bomb or whatever, and she was like, why do you have a square bomb and a circle bomb? I was like, oh, the square bomb, it won't roll away, so I can place it right here, and I'll walk away. And I blow it up, and then it blew up and made this tree detach from like the trunk, from the stump or whatever, and it fell and started falling on me. I was like, holy crap, I ran out of the way. I was like, I had no clue that the trees could break. It's just you can interact with like literally everything in that game.
What's kind of interesting is, and of course some people use this more than others, you're using your environment, those kind of physics and what you think could happen, you know, to your advantage and stuff, like using those tools to do stuff like sometimes you use a bomb, blow stuff up, it starts a fire and just kills everyone.
And sometimes you like push a rock and it can like take out your enemies, and there's like so many different, like, we always say that in games that like you can approach the situation any way you want, but in this one I feel like it's the full realization of that.
There are some complaints I see people having with the enemy stuff, like their enemies everywhere and stuff. They're all like copy and paste and stuff. Like, I kind of get that, but at the same time, there's different enough stuff like the part of the fun is going to the kind of different locations, even though some of the stuff is similar, and figuring out, looking at the areas like, okay, what's the best way to go about this? So I don't take as much damage, so I don't eat as much food and stuff, and like, how do I conserve my weapons, because they are breakable and stuff. And I actually like the weapon.
I really like it, because it makes you like, if I could just walk up from the very beginning of the game and just have my trusty sword that always worked, it would take out the element of like, it's chaos. There's like, I'm getting attacked by a bunch of people. It's like, okay, like, I need to conserve this let me like switch to this weapon. Oh god, it broke. Let me switch to this. And it like adds a layer of like, you have to improvise, and it's like kind of like add some chaos to it.
And
it works well.
A lot of people complain like, why I'm wasting all my best weapons, and it's like, we're playing. Apparently, what happened with them and what happened with me is different. Very rarely did I come out of a skirmish usually not better off.
Yeah, because you're like,
you always get weapons to replace them, and there are a fair amount of times I came out with better stuff. Sometimes I didn't, but it's a risk reward system that I think is really good in this game.
Yeah, and even if you overestimate a fight and like waste your good weapon, you're gonna get another good weapon very soon. And like, it was a very fine line. Like, this system could have been terrible.
Yeah.
Like, if the drop rate for weapons and the like quality of your weapons and stuff that you get weren't the way they were, if it was like a lot less and you were having to worry about that constantly, then it would be annoying. Yeah. So I'm sure they had to trial and error this a lot of times, but I think they hit the sweet spot, because it's enough to where, you're not always in a good situation, but anytime you break your weapon, you're not that far away from a better weapon.
Very rarely was I usually did not have close to a full amount of weapons, like my weapons thing full, or had it completely full.
Yeah.
Usually I did.
The only thing, and correct me, like, if I just haven't realized this, it would save me so much time. I wish there was a way to drop the weapon from the quick select, because it's kind of annoying to, like, your inventory is full, so I have to go to the pause menu and go all the way over there and then drop the sword. And then I wish I could just, when you do hold the button and go to the quick select, I wish there was an option to just drop it immediately. But
don't think so. I'm trying to remember what the quick select is.
That's a very small complaint, but yeah. Same thing, I also wish there was like a quick select for food, because I'm just constantly having to go to the pause menu and do that. Yeah. Anyway, minor things. Mm-hmm. Amazing game. Obviously, like, early contender for Game of the Year for me already. I mean, like, I haven't been this wrapped up in a game since probably like The Witcher 3. Because I've played lots of great, like Persona 5 is like another Game of the Year contender, amazing game, but this game just hit me at the right time, and like, I cannot stop.
And you can take it anywhere, Darby.
And I can take it anywhere. I love it so much. I'll just like pick the thing out and play it in bed. Yeah. I've like played it. I already played it like on campus one time. I like played it at the library. It's like, this is so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. I know, I can't remember if you said it while we were actually recording, but you at least told me at some point today that you've been kind of switching between handheld and TV a fair amount.
I have been,
yeah. I'm interested to see how you end up in the long run, because I did that a little more at first, but I play pretty close to exclusively handheld by myself right now.
Oh, okay. I feel like I'm still going to be playing mostly on the TV, but we'll see. I mean, like, yeah. It kind of depends.
Well, it's also part of the way I like to play. I like to... a lot of times I play the Switches at school. I like I've said it before, play the Switch while I'm listening to a podcast on my computer or something. It's just easier. Yeah. And, well, that kind of helps with the games I've had for the Switch. And doing that so far have been not story heavy, just more gameplay heavy, like Zelda, Mario plus Rabbids and stuff like that. And same thing with Mario. It'll be interesting how I do that with like Xenoblade or whatever story heavy game I get.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will change things.
I'm sure it will. I mean, I just like having the option for both. And I'm sure like this is kind of the honeymoon period right now. Like, I just got the console and stuff, so I'm just infatuated with it. I'm sure, I'll get down to some other routine with it. Mm-hmm. But I just love having the option, and it's just very easy to slide in.
And you should be good for a while with games. You got Zelda, and then you got Mario coming out next week. I will try
to... I talked about Zelda for a long time, so I'll try to very quickly talk about the other two things, just really quick. I think they're like interesting new things. I also played Stardew Valley. I got that for the Switch. It's interesting. This is not usually the type of game that I play, and I think my palette for this is kind of like low. Like, I wouldn't want to play multiple of these. But if you don't know Stardew Valley, it's like kind of like a Harvest Moon type game. It doesn't look like Harvest Moon. It looks like a pixel art like type game. Yeah. It looks really beautiful. I mean, it's a really beautiful game. It was entirely made by one guy. One guy made the entire game. It was a really cool story. It's in Jason Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I feel like I advertise that book like weekly.
Jason pays.
Yeah, Jason, come on. It's like it's a very relaxing and just happy little game. That's like really fun to just pick up. Like every morning I've like made my coffee and sat in bed just within handheld mode. And I'll just do like 2 days of the farm, like plant my stuff, go talk to some of the like villagers and stuff, and then just turn it off and go about my day. And sometimes before bed, I've been like playing it. Yeah. And it's a fun, just like cool down, like just, stress reliever game. And it's surprisingly deep with just like all the townspeople, and it's really funny. It's like the writing's pretty funny. I said, like, especially if you like Animal Crossing or Harvest Moon or any of those, I think this is definitely a game you should.
It'll be good for people until we get the real Harvest Moon. Plus, this from all accounts, I've seen this is really good.
It's probably better than the Harvest Moon. That's what a lot of people say. But
yeah, wait, to say Harvest Moon, I'm gonna say Animal Crossing.
Oh, okay.
Till we get the Switch Animal Crossing,
yeah,
which will happen.
Yes,
it needs to.
Also, just last thing, this game is perfect for the Switch. I mean, it makes sense on the handheld.
I've seen a lot of people like, I played it on PS4, tried playing on PC. It didn't completely grab me just because the system's on. And a lot of people are like, yeah, this is great on the Switch for like reasons you said.
Last thing. I'm basically just reiterating what Jeff said. I'm not done with it, but I was playing the Project Octopath Traveler demo.
Because why not?
Yeah, I'm basically on the boss fight. I lost to him once, and I had to leave. So like, that's where I'm at. So I imagine I'm towards the end of it. Yeah. Good, Jeff. This game is going to be great. You are completely right. Yes. I mean, this is. It kind of instantly became probably like one of my most anticipated games right now because just the art style is beautiful and the story is like.
I was surprised how, generally speaking, good the voice acting was.
Voice acting was really good, and like I was telling you, like I believed you. You said the voice acting was really good, but Caesar, come here. But whenever I saw the trailer, I thought the voice acting seemed bad. I was like, it just kind of seems like Japanese, like English version of a Japanese game. I didn't think it sold it very well. But once I get in there, no, it's really good. And the story is like, even with you telling me it was dark and really interesting, I still like wasn't completely expecting what it was. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really interesting story. Like I've only played Primrose's Side, which I mean, like it gets into like it's dark where you're like, I mean, you're basically like she's like basically a sex slave, or like she's like she dances and stuff for this like greedy guy who just profits off of her and a bunch of other girls. He's just a complete monster of a human being, and I'm guessing I'm gonna kill him whenever I finally get through this. It's just I'm just so excited for this game. I hope we don't have to wait too long for it.
Another thing it said next year, I can't remember if they gave a general time frame, but
also the breakpoint system, I really like that.
Oh yeah,
that's I can definitely see that.
All around really this is the perfect demo.
Oh yeah,
showing enough about the game, you get the general idea of how the game's going to be, story wise and battle system wise and everything. But it just leaves you wanting more.
Oh, it does. I never would have expected that I would be this excited for this game. Like after the Nindies presentation, I was just like, oh, that looks cool. It looks like very pretty. But, like,
it wasn't in the Nindies presentation. It was in the General Direct. Where this is a Square Enix game.
Okay.
This is the Bravely Default people, I think.
I thought it was in both, but
no.
Okay.
It was in the Switch reveal presentation, and then we didn't see it again until that last Direct.
Gotcha.
Then they said demo, and we were like,
I guess it isn't an indie, so that would make sense.
Yeah. But, well, glad to hear it. So, hopefully when that game comes out, we both can talk about it.
Yes. I'm very excited. Thank you for bearing for 20 minutes of Darby Talks about old games. I was just so excited. I was so excited to finally have the Switch and talk about all this.
Well, I'll just say this real quick. I haven't really had time to play much. I played a little bit of Cuphead, just give some updates about that. I beat the first world. Messed around with the bosses a little bit. Didn't beat any for the second world. And it's great so far. Cuphead is great.
Good. All right, Jeff, let's get into the news. News jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
When are we going to sell jingle, jingle, jangle shirts?
I don't know. We should get shirts in general first.
All right, Jeff. We have some very sad, disturbing and sad news.
Yeah, we're going to start out with some pretty heavy stuff. Just to let people know about, especially this first story in general. I guess people haven't really told us because I guess we don't have too many listeners that give feedback, but we know, I read a lot, probably more than I should on a lot of things. We're trying to do better with that. This story in particular is not an example of us trying to do better with that exactly, just because it's the Naughty Dog sexual assault like allegations, sexual harassment allegations. It's pretty heavy stuff, and I think all the stuff we have is important to kind of say to give a full detail of everything.
Obviously, like, we're not like pros at this. We've been doing it for part of a year or something, but like when it comes to something this serious, we really don't want to like accidentally leave something out that's important.
Yeah.
But in the future, we're gonna try to like make these more tight. But this one's gonna be a decently long read. But,
yeah, definitely is in particular. And we're going this article from Jason Schreier from Kotaku. Okay, let's get started. A former employee of a highly regarded video game development studio, Naughty Dog, has accused the company of terminating him after he says he filed a complaint that he was sexually harassed by someone else at the studio. David Ballard, an environment artist who worked at Naughty Dog for 2 different stints between 2009 and 2016, wrote on social media this weekend that he was the victim of sexual harassment by a lead at the Sony-owned PlayStation studio, best known for Uncharted and The Last of Us. And Ballard wrote, "In late 2015, I was sexually harassed at Naughty Dog by a lead. My work environment became extremely toxic afterward. In February 2016, I had a mental breakdown at work, and Sony PlayStation HR became involved. When I told them about the harassment, they ended the call and fired me the next day. They cited the company was moving in a different direction and my job was no longer needed. They tried to silence me by offering $20,000 if I signed a letter agreeing to the termination as well as to not discuss it with anyone. I declined to sign. I have been unemployed for 17 months since," end quote. Ballard added that he felt empowered to speak up because of the strength I have seen in others coming forward about their experiences in the TV/film industry. A reference to the several recent stories about Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein and his long history of alleged sexual harassment, rape, and other horrid behavior. Dozens of women have spoken out in recent days about Weinstein and other alleged harassers in Hollywood. And both men and women have shared their own stories on social media, most recently under the hashtag #MeToo. On Sunday morning, Naughty Dog and its parent company Sony sent out a joint statement saying they were unaware of Ballard's sexual harassment claim. This is the quote. "We have recently read on social media that an ex-employee of Naughty Dog, Dave Ballard, claims he was sexually harassed when he worked at Naughty Dog. We have not found any evidence of having received allegations from Mr. Ballard that he was harassed in any way at Naughty Dog or Sony Interactive Entertainment. Harassment and inappropriate conduct have no place at Naughty Dog and Sony Interactive Entertainment. We have taken and always will take reports of sexual harassment and other workplace grievances very seriously. We value every single person who works at Naughty Dog and Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is of utmost importance of us that we maintain a safe, productive workplace environment that allows us all to channel our shared passion for making games," end quote. Quick water break.
Also, I apologize if Caesar is like meowing, purring into the microphone.
It's probably makes him feel better about listening to all this.
Probably.
Okay, continuing, Ballard has not responded to multiple messages by Kotaku via phone and email, seeking more details on his allegations and reaction to Naughty Dog and Sony's statement. 3 current and former Naughty Dog employees, all speaking under condition of anonymity, so as not to jeopardize their careers, all said they had not heard anything about Ballard's sexual harassment allegations until this weekend. They were disturbed by the news. Those employees said they did not know or want to speculate who the alleged sexual harasser may be. Each discipline at the studio typically has 2 leads, and by one estimate, there are around 24 at Naughty Dog. One current Naughty Dog employee said that he and coworkers he spoke to were blindsided by the news, and that while he believes Ballard's allegations, he has also believed that the studio has been unaware of them. That person said, there definitely is not a culture of covering up bad behavior. I and quite a lot of other people wouldn't be here if there was. End quote. It was clear to Ballard's co-workers that he was upset during his final months at Naughty Dog, those sources said, and they said his self-acknowledged mental breakdown was clear to everyone at the studio. But people who work with Ballard said they had thought it was the result of Naughty Dog's long hours and high-pressure culture. Ballard worked at Naughty Dog in Los Angeles from around February 2009 to around August 2014 before leaving for San Francisco, where he briefly took a job at Ubisoft, per his online resume and co-workers. In the fall of 2015, he returned to Naughty Dog. One person who worked with Ballard said that the difficulties began then, and that Ballard had told people he was filing HR complaints, although to that person's knowledge, those complaints were not about sexual harassment, but about other issues. Ballard had said he felt harassed for leaving and then returning to the studio, that person said. The person added that they did not know about the sexual harassment allegations until Ballard posted them on Facebook last weekend. In early 2016, the situation worsened, and Naughty Dog employees confirmed that, as Ballard said on Twitter, he had a difficult mental breakdown. Some of Ballard's troubles became more widely known in late February of that year after he sent a hostile email to a tech artist that was CC'd to everyone at the company, 2 people said. Various rumors circulated at the studio, and the situation was escalated from Naughty Dog's internal human resource department, Sony's HR. And Ballard wrote on Twitter Saturday, "This is the hardest thing I've ever done. I will not let anyone kill my drive or love for the video game industry, my passion or life." End quote. He has not said anything else publicly since.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to read all that.
Should I do the next? Read the next thing before? Should we talk a little before I read this next little thing?
You can go ahead and read it.
Okay. There's a little more to this story. That doesn't have to do with Ballard, but with Naughty Dog and sexual harassment. Megan
Frokamish?
What he said. Reporter for Variety and formerly Polygon mentioned on Twitter her interaction with Naughty Dog developer. TBT, or
Throwback Thursday?
I think it's Throwback Tuesday, because I think it was posted on Tuesday. Throwback Tuesday, to the time a Naughty Dog dev asked me if I F all my sources like on House of Cards after I introduced myself as a reporter, and that F all my sources like House of Cards was in quotes, so that's what the guy said to her.
Yeah.
Which is messed up.
Very messed up. Okay, so just starting from the top, I've been completely disgusted, but kind of happy to see a lot of things between, this is kind of, pertaining to us with video games and stuff. But with the Harvey Weinstein thing, or Weinstein, to everyone I know personally saying things on Facebook, this is a widespread and serious problem when it comes to sexual assault, especially in workplaces and stuff like this. And anyone who has the courage to come out like that, and like David did, it's a very, it's a very respectable thing, and it's something that is not easy to do.
And especially since we've seen time and time again with these kind of things, these people who say they were sexually assaulted, especially when they name names, get attacked. Yeah.
And it's one of those things. I think priority number one, and I know that there's so many elements and variables to everything, and that we need to consider them all and everything, but priority number one is to create an environment where victims can feel comfortable to come forward with their stories. And in the past, that has not been the case. It's still not the case for the most part. No. We're just finally starting to see some things, turn here. But, if you're a victim, it takes a lot for you to want to come out. And if you think you're going to come out and your career is going to be ruined because no one's going to believe you, no one's going to hire you because they think you're just going to stir up trouble, all this, whatever excuses come out, which has been the case for so long, that's unacceptable. Yeah. We need to create an environment where we take these things seriously. I think, clearly there are examples of people's lives being ruined on both sides. There's examples of people coming out with sexual assault allegations just to get at someone when it didn't happen. But
those are very few.
Rare. And basically what I would preach is you should not shut anyone down for an allegation like this. You probably also shouldn't shut either person down immediately. It's just one of those things that these can't be swept under the rug, and we need to address it, on both sides with this. And hopefully, the ideal thing would be the Harvey Weinstein thing. At this point, so many people are coming out with this. It's just
so many. And because it's in the film industry, so many big names.
Yeah, very big names.
It's hard to ignore. And same thing with Bill Cosby. When so many people come out and say this, you can't just simply say there's a very, very small chance they're all coming out here just to get at him for some reason and trying to get famous.
And there's some people, it's what do they have to gain out of,
Especially with cases like Ballard and just a lot of these other kind of things we're seeing, like the Me Too thing, all these people coming out and not naming names.
Right.
What do they have to gain from that?
No, they're not. Yeah, like
other than like you could maybe argue they're just looking for pity for some reason, but that's like stupid.
I mean, I think that that's like trivializing and trying to like hide a serious problem for the most part.
I mean, there's statistics that show all these women that say they probably did because a lot of women face this stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's even like, I mean, as someone who's like been very lucky my entire life, and as like a straight white man and everything, like I knew that, like, obviously I knew it was a problem, and I knew this was a problem more than we thought it was a problem. But I've been the last few days like looking on Facebook and looking at everything. There's people I never would have thought. Yeah. And, you know, they're like sharing their stories, and it's just really harrowing and really like, you know. So, I mean, I think this is very brave of him to come forward with this. I you know, obviously he doesn't owe anyone anything, just like there's no sexual assault survivors owe anyone their story. But I hope that whether publicly or privately or something, it comes out who this is, you know, if this happened, you know, like, and I hope that like someone needs to be held, you know, we need to like build towards people being held accountable for this so that this stops happening at companies like this.
Okay, yeah, well, hopefully, again, Ballard has to say this out, yeah, like you said, he hasn't come out and really say it, but hopefully at least Naughty Dog messaged him probably like, well, it may look bad, they're first doing after all this, especially he did the HR thing, but saying like, hey, if you want to tell us who did this, maybe we can talk about it.
No, I hope, I'm sure someone's following up on this.
Well,
I really hope.
The same thing with Naughty Dog and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it, Megan.
Yeah, right.
Like also messaging her and be like, hey, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, this needs to be addressed. It's not something like the problem's not solved here. And also I do want to like I want to say one thing, because I've like obviously I listen to tons of like podcasts and stuff, and this has been a topic on a lot of them, and it's come up multiple times. People like criticizing it, like to any extent, or in like sometimes to like crazy extents, Naughty Dog's statement.
I was about to ask you about that.
I mean, like please, like input your opinion on it. But from my standpoint, like, you have to understand, as much as like, you know, you think of Naughty Dog, we think of like, yeah, they made like my favorite games, and you almost think of them as like a person almost. Like it's just like, yeah, they're like the fun company. They're a company, and whatever you like, I guarantee you that the vast majority of people at Naughty Dog know nothing about this and are horrified by this, and they want nothing more than to go and say, we're sorry that this happened on our watch and stuff like that. But as a company, anything you say like that is going to be used against you, and you at this point don't know what's going on. You don't know 100%. And the statement didn't say it didn't happen. It just said
we have no record of it.
We have no record, and that's what, like, this statement's not really for you, the Naughty Dog fan. This is just what you, I mean, like, you have to do this as a company. You have to.
It would look awful if they didn't say anything.
Right. And like, I admire Naughty Dog for getting out there and saying something so fast. I do admire that. And like, it'll come, like, it's how Naughty Dog handles it from here on. But I even saw some people were saying like, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not buying Naughty Dog games anymore. And like, you do what you think is right. Yeah. But from my standpoint, there are, even if one Naughty Dog lead is a horrible monster of a person who's doing this, there are like hundreds of set designers, art people, or whatever, everything else whose livelihood like depends on these games, who are just trying to make games and have no clue that these things are going on. And at least me personally, in my personal philosophy, I don't think the answer to that type of thing is to stop supporting the studio and making all of these people who did nothing wrong's livelihood in danger, instead of, you know, just for the actions of this one man. I think that makes his actions even stronger, because you're letting it affect everyone. I think the man or the woman or whoever it is needs to be held accountable, not the studio.
I agree with you. Now, the point of boycotting Naughty Dog, I would understand it more and probably, you know, agree with it if it came out like we find, and this is all hypothetical, so we find out kind of who did it and find out like Naughty Dog knew and didn't do anything about it. That's a whole different thing. But as far as we know, and I know I read this whole thing, but correct me if there's information that goes against this. Many people who would know anything about this, again, let's say we believe Naughty Dog has no they couldn't find any evidence of the allegations, like there's no paper trail or anything, but Ballard did talk to people. That'd be up to Sony PR thing, which whole other can of worms.
Yeah, I mean, this has the chance to be something huge. I mean, depending on how far this goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I believe Ballard because, again, I usually have the stance, I sound like you do too, like, I usually believe the victim unless there's really some reason to not believe them, like something crazy.
I mean, I stand for not overreacting to the point where, I stand for, like, having, like, let's try to find the truth and let's not ruin lives, like, prematurely either direction. Yeah. Because, like, these things happen. There was these things have happened where there's false allegations and someone's complete. Just the thing is, like, just do not bring your pitchforks out and stuff before you know what's going on. Yeah. But also don't sweep it under the rug. It's just one of those things. It's tough, but
I was saying the way what we heard from Ballard and Naughty Dog based on what I read here, I think we have reason to. I think it's okay. We can believe both here that. This happened to Ballard and Naughty Dog has no evidence. Either that just kind of, they're kind of being sneaky about saying, we know it happened, but there's technically no evidence. That remains to be seen, but,
and there's the chance that, I mean, like,
again, there's no reason for every Naughty Dog employee to
Naughty
know this
Dog
happened.
is not one person. Yeah. It's like, this could have been a cover-up by some people, and the vast majority of people at Naughty Dog have no clue. Yeah. And, so... Yeah. But it's out there, and I hope that they'll be held accountable now. Like, people are going to be looking into this, so...
Yeah, again, now we have 2 accounts of it, and
might be getting worse.
And especially if this is if they're both telling the truth, there are probably more people. And,
Yeah, so we'll see coming out. We'll definitely stay on this. This is not the type of thing we like to talk about here, but...
Yeah, I'm also going to say something as far as Megan's statement. She's a reporter. It's her job. She's not going to lie about this and ruin her relationship with one of the biggest game developers.
Right.
There's...
yeah. Oh, like, she really has nothing to gain by lying. Yeah. It would hurt her job.
She could literally lose her livelihood and be blacklisted and everything if this is something she came out with and was blatantly lying about it.
Yep.
So, that's all I'm going to say about that one.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to more sad news, but not quite as, like,
We're going to go to easier stories after this.
We're slowly moving up.
This was a big week because a couple key stories. Okay. We're staying with Jason Schreier from Kotaku.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yep. EA is shutting down Visceral Games, the studio behind games like Battle for Your Hardline and Dead Space, the publishers said this past week. The Star Wars game in development at Visceral will be revamped and moved to a different studio, EA says, although it will now... be something completely different. EA's Patrick Sutherland said in a blog post, our Visceral studio has been developing an action-adventure title set in the Star Wars universe. In its current form, it was shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game's concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design, end quote. Sutherland added that Visceral will be wrapping down and closing and that we're in the midst of shifting as many of the team as possible to other projects and teams at EA, end quote. Lastly, he said, while we had originally expected the game to launch late in our fiscal year 2019. This is news to us. We're now looking at a new time frame that will be announced in the future, so expecting like 2021. Okay. And then Jason said in an email to employees obtained by Kotaku, Sutherland offered more details on the Star Wars game, which was codenamed Ragtag. A development team from across worldwide studios will take over development of Ragtag, led by EA Vancouver team that has already been working on the project. Steve Anthony, which is an executive producer at EA, will lead this team. And we will use much of the work that has been done today by Visceral. The assets of Ragtag that have already been built will be the foundation of this new game. I guess that's in quote or stuff from the email. And then Jason says, it's safe to presume that the new incarnation of the Star Wars game will involve games as a service elements, as has been EA's mandate for quite some time now. EA was not clear about the status of longtime Uncharted developer Amy Hennig, who joined Visceral to direct the Star Wars game after she left Naughty Dog in early 2014. In an email, an EA spokesperson said, "We're in discussions with Amy about her next move." And this is, Jason Schreier talking. I had been hearing rumors for quite some time now that Visceral Star Wars game was in trouble and that studios across EA were brought in to help give it vision and direction. Now, that game is no more.
This was like such just shocking and such sad news.
Yeah.
It's like shocking, sad, and frustrating. There's so many elements to it. Like, I mean, I think first,
right down here.
First off, it's probably the thing we'll talk about the least just because there's not as much to talk about, but I think it's the most important thing about this, even more than what we're going to move into, like what this means for the future, is I feel so bad for the people at Visceral. Like, the people... Even though, like, this is better than a typical layoff because a lot of them are trying to move to other projects. Like,
I guess we don't know how much, like, people are
how many people are actually losing their jobs.
But at the same time, the thing that they've been working on for years is gone.
Exactly. I mean, like, this is something you're putting your heart and soul into or whatever, and it's completely shattered.
And I'm sure there's a close for a lot of people because it's a single-player linear Star Wars game.
It's what people wanted for so long.
I mean, for a lot of people, I can imagine this was their dream project.
I was so looking forward to this. I mean, Battlefront was basically just something to hold us over for this. This was the thing. And Amy Hennig, like, this is 2 projects in a row now that have collapsed for her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she is amazing at what she does. I mean, I'm not saying like it's her fault. I just feel bad for her. Like, she hasn't been able to publish a game since Uncharted 3, which sucks.
Yeah.
Because Uncharted 4, it was hers, but then it kind of that was a disaster.
Like I said here, who knows what she's exactly going to do. So it's just either going to stay at EA. I guess we can start there if you're okay with it. Like, maybe where do you see her going, or maybe what you want?
I have nothing to base this off of.
Yeah.
But just after 2 straight projects like this that deal with big companies and moving parts, and it just like miscommunication, mismanagement and stuff, I almost see her taking there's so many examples, but the only thing I can think of is Bioshock dude, Ken Levine. Like, taking that sort of thing and going to a smaller, maybe her own studio, or just going to another studio, some smaller thing where she can be like, I don't have to answer to almost anyone. It's just me.
That's what I was going to bring up. Like, Easy Allies, this was their big topic of the past show.
They just listened to there,
yeah, they pretty much did the same thing. And like, maybe she can go do her own thing, which she hasn't listened to anyone, because pretty much like you said, that's 2 big projects in a row that collapsed on her. Then she can do her own thing, doesn't have to listen to anyone.
Exactly. And I would be excited to see that. Like, I just want her to, like, I feel bad for her, and I want her to be able to get something out. And like, to go to a smaller thing that would be like maybe a less time in development. And she could just kind of make her vision come to life in whatever that is.
I mean, this is not exactly a one-for-one thing, but makes me think if I could work for her. We saw a game like Hellblade come out, which is like a AAA quality, like visually and everything, and
sold well.
Yeah, it can work for a game like that if she can get like rest of the right people there and get the funding. But she's a big name, so I have a feeling she can do it.
Right. Yeah, and I think between like if Hellblade can bring back the mid-tier game, like I think she's definitely one.
And the only reason I say it's a mid-tier is technically be an indie game, so I don't expect it to necessarily be like Uncharted.
Yeah, and Hellblade, like, it felt like the middle between, like, it kind of looked like AAA graphics, but it was shorter, and it was, like, experimental and stuff like that. It was, like, what you'd expect.
Again, I had no idea what exactly happened with this, so I don't know what you exactly want to do.
Yeah, I want to kind of get into, obviously, I mean, there's kind of been discussions about, like, why this happened, and, like, some people... are kind of saying that this is kind of just this is an example of EA being EA, but EA like just trying to follow trends and just going away from the single player like story experience and trying to go towards the games of service Destiny models. And then there's
this trend,
and there's some people like saying that maybe this project was just in trouble for other reasons. I think it's both. I think it very easily could be both.
Yeah.
I think clearly, like, this game was first announced, I think, in, like, 2013. I think I remember people saying, like, that was when the first, like, pictures or trailer or whatever came up. So, I think there were clearly probably some problems with this. And also, like, even if you're EA, and even if you're trying to follow these trends, I don't know if you close down a project that has been going well since 2013 and 2017. Like, if the project was going well, I think it would be too far along to cancel like this.
Okay.
So, like, there were probably some issues. That being said, it's like, all right, even if you have to close this down, their wording in here, it was shaping up to be a first-person, like, in its current form, it was shaping up to be a first-person story game. Well, no, duh. That was the game. That's what people wanted. And the way that they word this, it just sounds like, oh, well, you know, that's what it was gonna be. But
we're
you
doing
guys,
this thing. This is what you guys want.
You guys really want loot boxes.
And partly with that, I mean, that's what also we want, so we can make some money.
And God, it's so frustrating.
EA, other than the couple things like Unravel, is the most businessy gaming company there is.
They're a dinosaur. They are a dinosaur because, like, so many things they do, it's just such just corporate stuff. It just it sounds. And I don't want to overreact because, like, people, I've always, like, kind of been on the more moderate side of EA because some people voted them the most evil company in the world. You're an idiot.
Or more disliked, yeah.
You're an idiot if you think that EA is the most evil corporation in the world. Like, it's video games. Like, chill out a little bit. But when it comes to this, like, this statement, this is just corporate nonsense. This is not a human being.
I mean, Solon is a corporate robot.
He's just...
Not everyone Reggie feels me.
I hope you don't want to be hired at EA after this podcast, Jeff.
I mean, if I can get a job anywhere.
We can make it better. Anyway, it's frustrating because, like, kind of like I think we unabashedly were fans of, like, Easy Allies and all these people, and we're gonna, like, you know, like, when I agree with them, like, some of those words start coming out.
Yep.
Like I think Kyle said, I feel like chasing trends is foolish for the like most part because, like, all right, if you think right now, this project right now as it stood apparently was going to come out end of the fiscal year 2019, which is already crazy. And if you think that you're basically restructuring this game from the ground up, so you're talking 2020, 2021, is games as service even going to be a thing then?
But here's the thing I'm kind of worried about because we're seeing this more of a trend, like Square Enix has talked about it. Mm-hmm. Like, they're trying to implement somewhat this in, well, loot boxes of Shadow of War and Battlefront 2 and all that kind of stuff. Bunch of publishers doing this. Like, again, this makes a lot of money, but, and I don't think I brought up on here, if there's so many of these games, will it really help the industry as a whole? Because then people will be picking these certain games, and overall, these games are not going to sell.
I think we mentioned that last week.
Yeah, not everyone can play, like, multiple of these games. And...
they're designed to get you to play one of them for a long time.
Yeah, and there are too many of those. It just spread out through there.
The vast majority of them are going to go the way of Battleborn, and a few of them will go the way of Overwatch.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, maybe, like, it could work out because there are less people buying these games, but more people, obviously, like, the reason they're doing this, the people that are playing it will spend more money, but there's so many of these games, and then there are a lot of people kind of like me who do not care about this as a whole. Like, I play some Overwatch, but I'm not really... I play significantly less than you guys. It's not like I spend any extra money on it. And you
I don't either, yeah. Just the crappy thing is, Jeff, I mean, just, like, think about it, because any Star Wars game that has even just pretty graphics is gonna sell. Yeah. There's a baseline that game's gonna sell, regardless of the press around it. And then there are also, within that subsection of people that buy it, there are a small number of people, probably in relative, that will buy loot boxes. But as we've seen time and time again, even though it's a small number to buy loot boxes, they buy a lot of like microtransaction stuff. So EA knows that they can get an endless revenue stream out of this, and people will buy it because it's Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Whereas if they put out a single-player, story-driven Star Wars experience, everyone likes it, but that's it, and they don't get continuous money.
Yeah, but... It'll make EA look good to do that because I'm being a little hyperbolic here. I'm not even a Star Wars guy, but a very, very good Star Wars single player story experience could be out for Game of the Year and like game generation stuff if done right. The Star Wars name would put it up to that level alone.
Yeah. No, and this is what people have been calling for so long,
yeah,
and we thought we finally had.
We have a way out.
And it's just
Channeling
like,
Cowbell
I
there.
kind of hate the way they structured this, where they try to spin this like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to like, oh, but we're gonna turn it around to this, and it's just, it's frustrating. And gosh, do I hate the fact that EA has the exclusive rights to Star Wars. I know it's gonna run out at some point, but it's years from now. I think they had a 10-year deal, and we're like 3 years into it.
I'm just happy that I'm only saying this because they're also owned by Disney. Marvel isn't just stuck with one developer.
I'm so glad, yeah. So we can
they're
branch
spreading
out.
legacy. We got Square Enix with a game. We got the Insomniac making Spider-Man, which is gonna be great.
Oh, yeah. I think because of that, Marvel Games is going to have a better legacy right now than Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to have the Battlefronts that sell well, but I have a feeling.
Will people even really remember that game?
No,
Or even care
Not
about it
really.
a year or so from now?
it'll be pretty, and
When-
that'll be about it.
Like the Spider-Man Insomniac game has, kind of like I said with Star Wars, potential to be game of the year. Game
I mean, I think
generation,
this Star Wars
a number of years from
Battlefront
now.
story has a chance to be really good, but I think it's going to be short. I mean, it's going to be a
I think-
short,
no,
single
I
player
think they
story
said-
to be like.
I was thinking about maybe throwing it in here, or at least saving it so I can tell you about. I think they said like 4 to 6 hours, or 5 to 6 hours, something like that.
gosh.
Somewhere around that range.
I was wanting at
think I
least
saw
like
that.
8.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
don't expect the longest thing. Like, especially just everything that happened. I'm guessing this is definitely a rent game for you now.
Yeah, I don't really. Especially now that I have a Switch, I have so many games that I could get to. Like, I'd probably sooner play Mario plus Rabbids this winter than I would, play this
Hey,
game.
I got a
almost at
copy
this
you
point.
can play.
Exactly.
It is great.
Like, I didn't 100% know I was getting a Switch. I especially didn't know I was getting it this early. So, like, yeah, I probably have other things now.
Yeah.
So I won't harp on it too much more. I mean, I think you feel the same way as I do. It just hits me more because I'm a Star
yeah.
Wars fan,
Yeah.
and I was like looking forward to these more.
Kind of wish Will was and
it's
someone
like-
else was here to talk to.
Yeah, we can probably bring it back up again when Will's here. But it's like, how do you mess this up? You had Amy hitting there. You were doing everything right, and it's just. And like last thing, like going forward, like I might be completely wrong, and we might be able to look back at this podcast, and I might look like an idiot. But at least for me, like sitting right here, like from a gamer's perspective, like someone who plays games, it just seems like chasing like the games as service model and stuff. I feel like the games as service model is going to go the same way that a lot of other like genres have and stuff. Like, it's going to die out. Like, it's going to have an expiration date where people get tired of it and the market shifts. But if you start on a project now, like if you're starting a like games as service trying to copy Destiny or something now, you're already too late, I think.
Yeah, I think what's going to hurt the game of serious thing in the long run is the fact, and correct me if I'm forgetting a game, I feel like all these game of service, the default genre is shooter.
Yeah.
Like, can you at least not do any other thing?
I mean, there's, I guess, MOBAs. I mean,
Yeah.
like that. Those are technically kind of like fall into this, but at least like the modern console things that we're talking about are like all shooters.
Can you at least... Okay, there is one example of game of service that's not a shooter. ARMS.
Yeah.
And, hey, and to Nintendo's credit, in a way, they kind of did a little earlier than people with Splatoon and stuff. At least that stuff's all free.
Yeah.
Nintendo's doing it the best, guys.
I don't know. We need to move on. We're going long on these.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Definitely probably no main topic this week. This is just going to be a...
We technically said 2 main topics.
we basically did. We've talked an hour about 2 stories, but they're very big. They're very big
Well, and you
stories.
spent like 20 minutes on the Switch, which is fine, of course.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm
Okay,
so
yeah.
excited.
Let's move on to the stories. A lot of them are a little smaller ones, so this shouldn't be too bad. Okay, this is an update to a previous story. I guess last week's. Was it last week? It was last week, right?
Might have been 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, a week or 2 ago, we talked about IGN acquiring Humble Bundle. And, we talked a little bit about what that could mean as far as IGN reviewing Humble Bundle stuff.
Right.
Hey, that happened.
It did.
And, yeah. Okay, there's a game called Hat in Time, and it's being published or whatever by Humble Bundle. And it's being reviewed by Leif Johnson from IGN, or it was reviewed. And they did a little disclosure thing at the beginning of the review, so I'm just going to read that real quick. IGN Entertainment, IGN's parent company, recently purchased Humble Bundle, the publisher of A Hat in Time. That technically makes us the publisher, and in purpose, we didn't actually know about that when this review was being written. Humble Bundle and IGN operate completely independently, but going forward, all Humble Bundle published games we cover will have a disclosure regarding our relationship, and we will endeavor to use freelance critics to review them when possible.
Yeah. So I think it's a very good move from IGN. Like I honestly, it was something like obviously, it's a little weird, especially me from just like a slightly journalism background. Yeah, I'm studying journalism and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's obviously a little weird to have like any company that's publishing games, even though Humble Bundle's kind of more of a charity thing, but it does publish games.
Yeah.
It's weird to have a review company basically own like that, but it's far from the first time that's happened, and it's just one of those things that like the circle of like I think that it all balances each other out, because like if IGN starts just like lying about games or stuff just to get them through, people are going to stop reading IGN. It's kind of in IGN's best interest to be honest about these things anyway.
Yeah.
And most of the time these companies are so big, like they never talk to each other. It's not a thing.
You know, they said, and so we're talking about the EGI Allied podcast, something like that. I think it was Bloodworth saying like, we were owned by the same company that owns, I think they said the Guitar Hero people.
Yeah, Rocksmith or something. One of those.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Guitar. Or, Rock Band.
Rock Band, one of those. Saying, we never talked to them anyway, blah, blah, blah. We met them like once or whatever.
And, well, again, it's in your best interest to not do that, because like your audience is relying on you.
And I think he even mentioned like, that was completely forgotten or whatever, that we were technically about the same people, especially when they're reviewing their games. I feel like, they have to do this now, but in a while people will forget it. Especially if they...
But good on them. They're even taking the extra step for the freelance writers, which I don't even think they had to do, but good on them. I mean, that's an extra protective step.
Mm-hmm. I think they're doing this right, and I think we all agreed, I think, with Will here, that it wasn't really that big of a thing. It was just a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something like, I think it's definitely fair to keep that in mind and keep an eye out for potential things in the future. Because, like, I trust everyone at IGN now, but maybe in 10 years, IGN might be a very different company. And it's one of those things to keep an eye out on.
I'm happy to see it having time is probably good after Ukulele.
Yeah. I'm guessing you never finished Ukulele.
I played it that first little bit, then I said I went back to it in the control level. I haven't played it since.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So, I'll keep an eye on this when it comes to consoles. Okay, moving on to the next thing. This comes from Jonathan Dorbos from IGN. A new game publishing label has been formed under Sony Music Entertainment, Unties, with the intention of publishing games across not just Sony platforms, but others including the Nintendo Switch and PC as well.
What?
Sony Music announced Unties' first game will be Tiny Matter from developer Area 35, coming to the PS4, Switch, and PC on November 21st, 2017. The military-themed turn-based strategy game is powered by Unreal. Sounds interesting. Sounds like a Switch game. As a separate publishing entity from Sony Interactive Entertainment, Unties under Sony Music is investing in the indie space, regardless of platform. The new publisher's slate of other upcoming games include 2 coming to PC, with the potential for console releases, as well as a PS4 game with PSVR compatibility. The official Unties announcement states that the publisher is intended to unearth high-quality titles that might be otherwise buried in the massive number of independently developed games being produced. Specifically, Sony Music has created Unties to respond to the indie game movement centered around North America, which is continuing to draw attention even within Japan. As for the publisher's platform agnosticism.
Platform agnosticism.
Yeah, agnosticism. Rather than being
That's a word.
Yeah. Rather than being tied solely to the PS4 and PS Vita, Unties announcement declares that the intention is to use Sony Music Entertainment's vast entertainment business wisdom in order to expose them to as many consumers as possible. Unties will also be handling the PR and sales of its games across platforms. Following games to come from Unties include the 3D action game Last Standard, coming to PC and other to-be-announced consoles, Merkava Avalanche, a 3D robot action game for PC and possibly other platforms, and the PS4 game Demo Reborn, working title, to be available with VR compatibility via PSVR. Not a big thing, but it's just funny.
Yeah.
Sony published games coming to Switch.
Yeah, it's one of those things like it's weird, and it's like it's one of those things that allows you to say the funny and weird thing of Sony's.
Why I put it on here?
Sony's like the PlayStation people are publishing things on Switch, and it's like you can make the jokes of like everyone was saying Nintendo should put games on PlayStation. Now Sony's putting games on Switch.
I'm still waiting this Nintendo third party. People said it happened by now.
Yeah, but that being said, I think that you can get those, you can say those funny things out of this technically, but I think Sony is such a big company, and this seems like such a small thing. Like some people might like go, in my opinion, too far and be like, oh, this is indicative, like Sony's going under, Sony's gonna start putting stuff on Switch. I don't think it means that much. I don't think it's really that big of a deal because it's Sony Music Entertainment. It's kind of weird they're even publishing games anyway.
Yeah.
I imagine these are going to be very small things, and again, Sony is so big. There's a good chance that this has very little to do with the actual PlayStation arm of Sony.
I mean, yeah. They're completely separate.
So it might as well be two different companies. Technically, it's both Sony, but they're so apart.
Oh, just one fact I was curious. Tiny Metal looks to be an Advance Wars style game, so coming PS4 and the Switch. So that's a very good Switch type game. Very good game for the Switch.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I just remembered a fun fact. Especially funny that Darby got the Switch this week. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the Switch reveal.
I saw that. I saw people talking about that. The good Switch reveal.
Yeah.
With Karen.
Was that ever really her name? And people just said her name.
It was just that meme. I think it was just that meme.
Dang it, Karen.
I think they interviewed the actual girl in the ad, and she thought it was hilarious. But
that's great.
I might be wrong, but I just heard that.
Okay, ready to move on, Darby?
Yes.
Okay. This comes from Sal Romano from Komatsu. Dragon Ball FighterZ will launch for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC in Japan on February 1st, 2018 for 7,800 yen. Yeah, whatever. The latest...
Are you going to scrounge up all your yen, Jeff?
You know it. The latest issue of V-Jump revealed. New playable characters Nappa and Captain Ginyu are also revealed. Nappa can summon Cybermen and use the Meteor Special Attack Kappa. Captain Ginyu has a technique that summons the Ginyu Force and can use the Meteor Special Attack Body Change to switch characters and HP with his opponent.
Yeah, so literally, as far as Jeff knows, right, you can just, whatever your opponent, if they're playing as Sub-Zero, and you're playing as Goku, you do that,
or Captain Ginyu.
Captain Ginyu, you use that and you literally switch. Now you're Sub-Zero with whatever help they have, and they're
Yes.
Sounds OP to me.
Yeah, and they have some other information about story mode in this. In story mode, an event occurs in which the Super Warriors fall one after the other. When Goku awakens, the spirit of the player will be linked to him. In this way, the story will develop by linking characters with the player's spirit. In the Android chapter, for example, the spirit of the player is linked with Android 18. And in the Enemy Warriors chapter, the spirit of the player is linked with Frieza.
You keep saying this. What does that mean?
We'll find out. I mean, it's always been my lifelong dream to be linked with Android 18. I mean, come on.
Oh, Jeffrey.
You can also deepen your bonds with characters. If your bonds are deep enough, you will be able to hear private conversations, such as Yamcha saying, I want to get married, and Vegeta saying, Bulma has a nasty personality.
What is this game?
In story mode, you'll be able to freely choose whether to battle and build experience point, rescue allies, learn skills, and more while advancing on a map. In North America and Europe, Dragon Ball FighterZ is due out in early 2018 and February 2018, respectively. So, yeah. Part of this is, release date kind of announcement, new characters, and just funny facts.
I just love that I think they said leak with your player about 8 times, but never explained what that actually means.
If there are pictures in the magazine and stuff, so I probably may explain more there.
Maybe.
But it's in Japanese, so I can't read it.
Oh, you Japanese nerds. Hope you enjoy it.
But, yeah, as far as the release date, I assume we'll either get it that day or the next day or within a week or two or something.
Yeah.
It's one of those games Japan might get a couple weeks early, but we should get it in February, which, hype, day one. And as far as now about Captain Ginyu being announced, I'm cool with it. People are very upset because they feel like they're small characters and whatever. But I'm whatever. Nappa's a bruiser character.
Change it up. There's been so many Dragon Ball games at this point. It's it seems like you'd be happy to see some randos.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, but
as far as Nappa goes, he's a big character, which is lacking right now. So I'm happy about that. Slow, powerful characters.
Yeah.
And Captain Ginyu is he's a unique character using the whole Ginyu Force and the body switching thing.
Is it a bridge Nappa though?
No.
Then no buy.
Hey Vegeta. No, people I always like seeing on Gaff and stuff asking, can Team 4 Star do a voice pack? I'd buy it.
Oh, that would be so great.
I mean, they do it for sure.
But does it like Dragon Ball hate?
Okay. Toei, I think the people in Japan who kind of own it hate them. Funimation and stuff who owns the rights here are fine with them, love them. They were even in an episode of Dragon Ball Kai making jokes.
Wow.
I think until Toei was like, no. And the story mode stuff is at least they're doing something different. Like it's an original story and doing some new stuff, so that makes me happy as far as that goes.
Cool.
So there's gonna be more to this than just the fighting game. So yeah, cool. I'm hyped.
We have to like drag someone on this podcast to talk to you about this. I feel bad because I cannot reciprocate the Dragon Ball.
We need to get Alex at some point.
We do. Alex. I think he listens, even though we're over an hour, so he probably is not listening anymore.
Probably not. Okay. We got two stories back to back that are involved the NPD news. I'm just gonna let people know. And I did not really know this until this week, so I'm happy I kind of know this. NPD numbers usually come out for video games the third Thursday of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I didn't know exactly when. I guess I always knew it was like in the middle-ish of the month.
Yeah.
But I didn't have an exact day.
I didn't know.
There were some technical problems, so it's not coming out. They said on Thursday it wasn't going to come out till Friday, which is the day before we're recording this, or Monday. So it'll be after we record this. So point is, we won't have the top 10 and all that kind of fun stuff until next week.
So nice way to go.
We'd love to talk about that, but some people on their own talked about some numbers. So we're going to talk about those stories. Okay, this first one is from Ty Kim from CNBC. I think that's the first time we've used CNBC.
That's not what I'm used to hearing.
Yeah. Activision Blizzard's Destiny 2 game sales are coming in significantly below expectations and faltering in comparison to the franchise's first game, according to Wall Street. U.S. physical game sales of Destiny 2 declined more than 50% in the month of September versus the 2014 release of Destiny in its first month, according to NPD sell-through data sourced by the Wall Street analyst reports. And in a quote by Piper Jaffray analyst Michael Olson, the launch month of Destiny 2 was well short of the original iteration by a material amount, and he was citing the NPD data. To be sure, overall unit sales may be better than the NPD and GFK chart tracks sell-through numbers, as the data thus far only tracked physical game sales in retail stores, not digital game sales. Activision Blizzard on September 15th announced Destiny 2 sales surpassed the original's records for engagement in digital sales in launch week. However, the company did not reveal a total sales number for Destiny 2, inclusive of physical retail store sales, in contrast to the more than 325 million first week press release for the original title in 2014.
I do want to highlight. I think it's important that it only has physical game sales.
That's why I read it's that's an important piece of detail.
I mean, because, and that's what it's like. As someone who loves following the business behind games and stuff, it's so annoying that we don't get the full picture. That we only get physical game sales, and more as time goes on, digital is getting bigger and bigger. That number's becoming more and more inaccurate.
Yeah, I think, again, this being physical thing is more important than ever because, digital is rising, especially since 2014. Yeah. So I definitely think Destiny 2 has sold less than Destiny 1 by maybe a significant amount. But we don't know by how much, again, because we don't have the digital numbers.
I guess that would make sense because, I guess Destiny was kind of a big deal. It was a big movement. It was kind of like Bungie's doing this and it's going everywhere. It's like post-Halo and everything. I guess Destiny 2 is just more that, and some people were soured on Destiny 1 from the original experience. It got better as it went on. It's a little surprising to me because I also could have seen Destiny 2 doing more.
I can see either way. It just depends how you look at it because Destiny 1 just kind of ended this year, so some people might just be tired of it, and there are some people making claims that it's not that much different. So it might be a case of people just being kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
And it might get more sales later on when people are kind of more fresh on it. It's like, okay, I'll go into Destiny 2 now.
And I guess the ones who are probably playing Destiny 2 might be more the hardcore ones, whereas a lot of just Halo fans probably bought Destiny.
I feel like Destiny 2 will be one of those games that has legs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even more so.
Because it sounds like, for the most part, I know people are mad about certain things, and obviously we're not the best people to talk about Destiny. But
it's one of those stories that we was here for.
From everything I've heard, it seems like a lot of the things that Destiny 1 did wrong out the gate and corrected later, Destiny 2 is already starting out doing better on. Yeah. So if they just continue to add content like Destiny 1 did, then I could see it riding out. And it's just frustrating because, like, this is probably true to an extent, but, like, it's probably not quite as dire as this looks because the digital sales are more than they were last time. We don't know about how much more. And it kind of sucks that we only get real numbers when developers decide to release them.
And depending on the company, we only get them when they're good.
Yes. Well, most companies, they won't put them out if they're bad, usually.
Yeah. I kind of mean more like some people just don't put out numbers, period, sometimes. Yep. So, okay, this next one comes from Seth G. Macy from IGN. Nintendo took the top spot for September hardware sales, with strong showings from both Switch and the 3DS line. Switch has surpassed 2 million units sold in the US since launch, and when combined with sales from the 3DS product family, as well as the recently released Super NES Classic, Nintendo hardware accounted for 2/3 of the month's total hardware sold. And as far as that 2 million thing, I think it's important to note we don't have that from NPDs. I think that was just the last time Nintendo updated, and that was like June or July, so that's why it's just more than 2 million. Just gonna throw that out there. And then as far as the games goes, Mario Plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle debuted at number 7 on the top 10 best-selling games for the month, followed by Metroid: Samus Return for the 3DS at number 8, and
I want that to be on the Switch so bad.
And The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild at the number 10 position. Switch was also the best-selling console for August 2017 and has been the top-selling console for 5 to 7 months since its release. So, Nintendo doing pretty good.
Love it.
I'm sure the NES definitely helped with the whole 2/3 of the month thing, but I guess depending on thing. But hey, Mario Plus Rabbids being at number 7.
But I mean, it's still 5 of the last 7, and that I definitely was kind of expecting Mario Plus Rabbids to be one of those that's critically accepted but not commercially accepted.
I'm more surprised about the Metroid numbers than honestly its placement.
Yeah,
because I feel like I didn't hear many people talk about it, and there's a lot of people moving on from the 3DS to the Switch, so.
But I do think there are a lot of people who have been itching for Metroid games so badly that they're okay. Like, I was willing to go back to my 3DS, and I probably will at some point because I want to play that game so bad. It's just kind of hit me at a time where I have so many other things. And now I have Zelda and other Switch games. But I will eventually play Metroid: Samus Return. There's no way I'm not going to play that game at some point.
I'm very excited for Metroid Prime 4. That'd be great. But a little thing I find interesting, and someone pointed it out to me, I guess when you think about it, it's not the biggest prize, but I find it interesting that Zelda has more legs than Mario Kart right now.
Yeah, I guess that is a little surprising. Yeah, I didn't even think, that Mario Kart's not on here. Right now. Whereas when it came out, it sold so much at launch, but I'm kind of surprised.
I know it's a port and everything, but still Mario Kart. A lot of people did not play, and a lot of people
didn't have a Wii U, So, that is a little surprising.
I think it's just one of those things. Zelda's is one of those games that odds are if people have a Switch, they have that game.
I think Zelda is the game a lot of people like me this week. When you go in and if you go in the GameStop or you order on Amazon or whatever, and you get your Switch, you also get Zelda.
And in a week, it's gonna be Mario.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be even more than Zelda ever was. Like, I imagine. I mean, I guess do you want to call it right here? What do you think is gonna be more popular, Odyssey or Breath of the Wild?
Do we have a timetable for this, or are we just going to say when all said and done?
When all said and done.
Man, that's...
I would say Mario. I'll just jump in. I would say Mario partially because it's coming out in the holiday when a lot of people are going towards it.
Yeah, but I was thinking more, like we were saying, when all said and done, I guess, for the Switch. I was thinking more... Okay, well, I guess also I'll throw this out. Are we talking Wii U sales as well?
No, because it's not fair to.
Yeah, but it's still technically Zelda sales.
Fine, yes, you can include Wii U.
I guess probably Mario overall, but I wouldn't. I may look like an idiot when all said and done, but for some reason I will not be right now. As of right now, I would not be the most surprised if Zelda was maybe ahead. Right. Just probably because it was a launch title and it was a damn good one.
Yeah.
And for the first 8 months or so, that's for a lot of people that was
the go-to game. Yeah.
I mean, Mario will also be that way, but
I mean, it was still my go-to game. I own one real big meaty game on the Switch, and it's Zelda. That's what. There was no question. That's the one I was getting immediately. So,
and I don't think I'm wrong, but I think there's at least 1 million or so sales on the Wii U as well, which helps.
Yes, most certainly.
Now, what do I think made the top game potentially for the Switch when all said and done? It's probably gonna be Pokemon.
Probably.
I did not remember this until someone pointed it out when I didn't put it in here, but people, it's not really surprising. The Pokemon Company has said Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon is the last Pokemon game on the 3DS mainline game.
Sweet.
Yeah. I figured that was obvious thing, so I didn't really put it in here, but I'll just say that real quick. I forgot that Sun and Moon sold like 15 million in like a month.
Good lord.
It hasn't sold much since then.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah.
So Pokemon will probably be the top selling one, especially on the Switch.
I mean, like, think about it for a second. Just think, like, I know this is not like a one-to-one comparison, but I mean, like, you know, Pokemon and like the Pokemon Sun and Moon came out on one system, the 3DS. Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn came out on one system, the PS4. Horizon sold like 3 million copies, and we're like, it sold well for an exclusive. It did a good job or whatever. Pokemon.
I mean,
made like
what helps Pokemon is there are two versions, and people double dip.
Yeah,
but
still. Or even if you half that, it's still like insane.
And not everyone did that. I didn't do that.
Right. No, Pokemon is insane.
Yeah.
Like
Nintendo doing really well, and I'm happy to see Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I didn't think I would say this, like when it was first rumored.
None of us did.
But it's a damn good game. And they announced DLC for it, and the timetables and everything for it, or did more information about that.
No, good.
It comes out in January. I think the story and the first part of DLC is out now. I'm probably since I just got done with it, Mario's coming out. I'm probably gonna hold off that to the story stuff come out and just do all at once.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We're keeping with the Switch though, and this comes from Hope Corrigan from IGN. The latest Nintendo Switch system update allows players to finally transfer user and save data, as well as capture video clips of certain games. Nintendo has released the latest 4.0.0 update for the system, which finally, I don't know the type of what, which finally gives Switch users the ability to transfer both their save data, their save game and user account data from one Switch to another. In order to transfer, both systems must be updated to 4.0 and connected to the internet. The system a user is transferring to cannot have more than 7 users. An option for the system transfer now appears in the system settings. The other most notable feature included in the update is the ability to capture video by holding the capture button during gameplay. This
I was just going to say, if it was a typo, it was a typo from Nintendo, because it's on the official press release.
I don't care anything to the update thing. That's probably just a normal thing I've seen a million times.
Yeah.
It just looks weird to me.
Yeah.
This currently is limited to 30 seconds of footage, which can then be uploaded to Facebook and Twitter. Video capture is something we knew was coming to Switch since before launch, but is still not yet available for all games. Currently, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Arms of Splatoon 2 all support the new feature. I'll also say this. I think it was Laura Kate Dale from Kotaku UK said Nintendo, unsurprisingly, is planning on expanding and making more time.
Oh, yeah. I hope so.
And add more games, obviously. Also, something important to know, because people are a little confused by this, I don't think we're saying here. The whole 30 seconds is 30 seconds before you press the button.
Like the PlayStation does.
But, I mean, it makes sense, but good to clarify.
Yeah.
Also, the update also includes 12 new user icons, including some from Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, the ability to pre-purchase and preload certain games from the eShop, and an update to the news channel. Which is all cool. And this was not in the past for some reason, but was revealed later. This comes from Jonathan Dorber from IGN. The Nintendo Switch's latest 4.0 update came with the surprise functionality not listed in the Nintendo's official notes. The ability to use wireless headphones. As originally spotted by Nintendo Live, wireless headphones using a USB dongle are now natively supported by the Switch, meaning users no longer have to be tethered to the system. The Switch's dock has standard USB ports to attach a dongle to, but for use in handheld mode, Switch users will need a USB to USB-C adapter for wireless headphone support. People are very happy about that.
I would be more happy about it just I'm just picky. I hate having to attach dongles and adapters and stuff to it. I would like to use my Bluetooth. I have nice Bluetooth headphones and it'd be cool to use it. And I might, whatever, but I hate having to attach things. Because you'd probably have to detach that to put it back on the thing, right? On the dock, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Whatever. I hope they do expand that 30-second things, because that's pretty low. The 15. The PS4 can do 15 minutes back.
I think part of it is the system based on the Switch.
Yeah,
something about it.
It's probably not going to be as big as the PlayStation. I understand that, but it's weird how many how much it still kind of don't get me wrong, I love the system so far, but how much it still feels like we have the Switch in like early access, basically.
Yeah.
Like the Switch came out, and then the online stuff kind of came out, and the online service is going to start a year later, and they're like slowly patching in all these things. It was like the console was obviously not done yet.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining because I'm happy I can play it right now instead of next year. But
Yeah. Well, to some people, it will not be out yet.
Yep.
But yeah, all this stuff is cool. People are happy. Yeah, we got a couple other smaller stories. We're getting close to being done, guys. Okay, we're going to continue with the Switch for like 2 more stories. But these are just like quick release date things. Okay, Doom for Nintendo Switch confirmed to release on November 10th in North America and Europe for $60 US.
So interested to see how that sells.
Yeah. What's surprising is this is coming out a week before Skyrim.
Yeah, that's puzzling choice.
Because, again, 2 Bethesda games back to back, and also
Wolfenstein.
Skyrim was announced a year ago for the Switch.
And Wolfenstein's like
And
a month before.
We're getting Doom first.
Yeah.
And the $60 price point.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but
I'm very interested. I do not feel like Doom is the type of game that if I wanted to play Doom, I'm honestly probably would still just get it on my PS4. I just don't really feel like Doom.
Yeah.
I don't really want to play like very twitchy shooters like that on my Switch. I just don't really feel like it's meant for it as much. But
now, for a game that is good for the Switch, Telltale's Batman Season 1 is coming to Nintendo Switch on November 14th in North America and November 17th in Europe and Australia. Oh, and both these release dates are from the games that Twitter counts.
When you getting it? I know you want it on Switch. You waited for Switch.
Yeah.
For it.
We'll have to see. I guess how busy I am with school and what I'm doing with.
Could be a Christmas break thing.
Yeah.
I doubt it'll take long. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'm definitely happy about this. Hopefully, they haven't said anything about when we'll get Season 2, so hopefully it's not crazy long.
Yeah.
Because, well, I guess we'll have to wait till that thing's done, but Episode 2's out now.
Cool. So. All right, last news item might as well be that's awesome news of the week, right?
That's awesome news of the week. This comes from Alex Gilead from IGN. Legendary Pictures is rumored to have a few action stars in mind for the main role of Detective Pikachu.
And might I say, I'm just going to warn you, dear listener, Danny DeVito is not.
Yeah. I think once they heard action stars. According to that hashtag show, Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Mark Wahlberg, and Dwayne Johnson are all allegedly among the studio's top choices to voice the titular character. However, none of the actors have taken any meetings yet about the role.
And none of them know anything about it.
Probably. Detective Pikachu will be directed by Rob Letterman, who did Goosebumps, Shark Tale, and Monsters vs. Aliens, with Marvel screenwriter Nicole Perlman and Gravity Falls creator Alex Hirsch writing the screenplay. The film will begin production in London in January of next year.
This movie will be so delightfully terrible.
No, it's gonna be great, Darby. It's gonna be great.
I mean, everyone says that Gravity Falls is like a really well written show, so that's like, if they're self-aware of what they're doing, and Nintendo just kind of lets them fly,
Or as a Pokemon company,
or the Pokemon company lets them fly, then that's even better. Nintendo's probably gun shy ever since the Super Mario Bros. Movie, so Pokemon company might be a little more lenient.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this movie, like any other thing, has the potential to be good. To be honest, I had more faith in this movie being good than about any other video game movie. Because as sad as that is.
Because it can just lean hard into what it is.
Yeah. Also, there's the Detective Pikachu games, which we've not got in the U.S., so I'm hoping, since all this means we might get those.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if they're any good or not.
It also might just be a straight-up kids movie with no adult like appealing qualities, so.
I mean, a kids movie can be good. I mean, we got Disney.
I mean, it can be good, but I could also see it being one of those kids movies that is only for kids, and it's,
Hey, if that means more kids getting the Pokemon, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Kids need this stuff, Yeah. Okay, so.
All right, well, I think that's it for us. We've gone long enough. You can basically consider this first 2 stories as our main topic. It basically took up over half the podcast.
Yep.
But
like 25 minutes each or
something.
think
that was a good one, Jeff.
It was a good one.
I think that was
I guess we can do a little quick preview to what we were going to do this week, but we're going to do next week. Our main topic is going to be what scared us as kids in video games.
Spooky.
For Halloween.
Yeah, we're probably going to talk about that next week. We're just talking about spooks we had as little boys playing games, or maybe grown boys in my situation sometimes.
Maybe a week or so after, let us know our favorite music into video games.
Yes.
With hopefully Jacob Hamill.
The one, the only.
Yeah.
Jacob Hamill. So look forward to those things, and as always, thank you for listening.
Yep. Thank you very much.
To the podcast. All thanks to Knack for giving us life and letting us be here.
How long are we going to use that joke? Forever? That's just going to be our thing.
Forever.
Are we going to make a Knack t-shirt? Is that legal?
Don't spoil it. If I just change his colors, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Can't be blue, though, because his little buddy's blue.
You're right. It's going to be green.
Wait, is his friend Knack too? Is that what the game is?
I mean, he was technically in the first Knack.
Oh.
Why do we keep on doing this, Darby? Why is this going on?
Bye, everyone.
Bye.